basically what we can see is your Silver 4 played 300 games with a 45% win ratio. Sorry, a 45% win ratio. Now, the biggest problem here, and I'm going to be honest with you, Tobias, is you need to make a choice on whether you want to start a new account or continue with this one. So, depending what your rank goal is, so whether it's, you want to get to gold, whether you want to get to plat, whether you want to get to diamond, it's going to be very, very, very hard for you to climb on this account right now. Simply because you're basically what a typical hard stuck player is. Now, I don't mean hard stuck as in like a personal insult to you. I just mean your account is hard stuck just on the win ratio and the amount of games you've played and the rank you currently are versus the rank you actually want to be. So hard stuck isn't a bad thing, it's just kind of a very black and white thing that happens in League of Legends. Once you get to a certain number of games, it becomes very hard to climb out unless you pull like a Tyler 1 and play, 2K games. And it actually took him 1,600 games to get out of Diamond. So it's like, you can either go to that extreme to get, not out of hard stuck, but Tyler was kind of hard stuck given that it took him 1,600 games to get out of Diamond. But regardless of that, you have to make that choice. Given you've only played 300 games this season, it's probably very unlikely you're going to play over 2K games like Tyler has by the end of this season. So I would personally recommend, if you're more serious about climbing and if you have more importance or emphasis on your goal rank compared to your love or your emotional attachment to this account, I would highly recommend getting a Smurf. You probably already have one. The majority of players do have one. But if you don't, I'd highly recommend getting one because you're going to be able to achieve your rank goals a lot quicker on a Smurf compared to this account. Now, the next tips I'm going to give you, it doesn't actually matter if you're playing on a Smurf or if you're playing on this account. You continue to wanting to play on this account, Tobias. It doesn't matter which one. These recommendations are going to be for both. Just remember that on the Smurf, these recommendations are going to have a lot greater impact and you're going to see results a lot quicker on an account that has a fresh MMR compared to an account that has a 300 game MMR. So, the first one, and I have said this to you before, Tobias, because I know I've coached you in the past, sir. You need to pick a champion pool and stick to it. I don't want to see like Victor, Fiddle, Victor, Aphelios, Ashe, like Jinx, Galio. There's just too much variety going on here. So it's fine to be a bit indecisive about what role you want to play. That's fine. But what you need to do is get serious with yourself, particularly if you're wanting to climb. You need to pick two roles. So pick a primary, pick a secondary, and stick to those roles for at least 1 to 2 months. It's fine if you want to change in a month's time, but in order to actually get a proper understanding of what lane you like for what reasons and what lanes you're good at, you actually need to give them a proper go. Now, obviously, everyone gets auto-filled, probably about 20 to 30% of the games, depending on what roles they play, but it's important that you're always queuing up for at least 1 month spans, the same roles, primary and secondary, because the only way we can actually master champions, the only way we can get better at the game is actually by repeating processes on the same champions, because that's the quickest way to learn. And given that, you're not playing 2K games a season, it's very hard to, let's say, master 3 roles in a season compared to 1 or 2 roles. You're basically halving the amount of work you have to do. In regards to not just learning the role itself in terms of micro, macro, laning win conditions, ultimate game win conditions, wave management, all that stuff, but also the champions you play, because champions are quite different in the mid lane, in the bot lane, in the top lane, in the jungle, etc., and they need to be played differently and according to the role or the lane that they're in. So, Tobias, you need to get serious with yourself, and you need to literally, just like I said with the last profile review, you need to write down the champions you want to play, list out their strengths and weaknesses, and go from there. It doesn't matter if you change that list in a month, but the important thing is you gave those champions a go, you liked those champions, and you're like, okay, I like these 5 mid lane champions. or like I like these 3 mid lane champions. For the next month, I'm just going to queue up as mid primary. If I get autofilled, I'll play the other champions that I'm learning. But for now, for this month, I am just going to focus on these champions. And then if you're bored of those champions, or you're not seeing results on those champions by the end of the month, or at least 20 to 30 games played on that champion, think about benching them. Think about considering switching roles. Particularly if you're not having fun. Generally, that's the biggest one. You're kidding. Blakey, the tier 2 subscription, sir. You are a legend. I've actually got a little shiny thing. So when you type now, you should have like a little like sparkly thing on your thing, kind of like I do. Anyway, sorry Tobias, I got distracted by a tier 2 sub. Where was I? Yes, so champion pool. So just pick a champion, stick to them for a month, and then switch them out. Now, that's kind of be my biggest recommendation for you, because once you have a champion pool, you can then start setting yourself goals like CS per minute, deaths per game, kill participation that we can all see off sites like op.gg, but also sites like Mobalytics. And those are kind of my big 2 for you. Sorry, I keep getting distracted by Twitch chat. Those are kind of the big 2 for you, Tobias. You just need to find yourself. So you need to find out what role you want to play because you enjoy that role, because you enjoy the champions in that role. It doesn't really matter why, but... and I guess it actually comes back to, Tobias, what your main goal in League of Legends is. Is it to have fun? Is it to climb to the highest rank you can? Is it to just play with friends? Is it to join a team? Is it to become pro? It doesn't really matter what your goal is. All that matters is you know what that goal is and you are always moving towards that goal. So if it's you just want to have fun and play with friends, that's fine. Just play whatever champions you enjoy, play whatever roles you enjoy, and just enjoy the process. Play League of Legends for what it is, a computer game that you can play with friends and have a lot of fun on. Because, I mean, everyone knows at the moment, Season 10 League of Legends can be very depressing and can be very tilting. Particularly when you have the goal of taking it full on 100% serious, never playing with your friends or not playing with your friends enough or not having any friends to play with, you can get into like a pretty, like relatively dark hole in League of Legends, particularly solo queue, where there's constant flaming, constant tilting, you don't really know why you're playing the game anymore, you just keep queuing up, going through the same motions over and over again and not really getting anywhere. But it doesn't really matter what that goal is. Just pick the goal. If it's because you're serious about climbing, do what I've just said. Pick a champion pool, pick a role, stick to it for at least a month. Pick a champion pool, stick to those, and then start setting yourself mini goals. That is not some shots fired. That's just being honest in like what you want out of League of Legends, because that's the number one question everyone has to ask themselves when they play League of Legends, or particularly when you're like, do I even want to play League of Legends anymore? You got to ask yourself, why am I even playing this game in the first place? I guess it's addictive to a sense, but I mean, it's not like, I don't know if you could call League of Legends an addictive game, given the state it's in at the moment. But yeah, Tobias, those are going to be my biggest recommendations for you. They're talking about Shocker. Oh, okay. Okay, I thought my profile review was the intense thing. Anyway, those are kind of my biggest recommendations for you, Tobias. You just need to figure out what you're doing in League of Legends and why. You need to figure out whether you want to play a Smurf or continue playing on your main. You need to pick a role, stick to it, and then you just need to have fun at the game by playing champions that you enjoy playing, Tobias. So those are going to kind of be my biggest ones, my man.